Welcome to Finished Work International Ministries, a ministry that is on the cutting edge, changing lives around the world. As you let God in today and apply the word, expect a divine encounter and supernatural transformation.
It is impossible for you to be defeated when you have the revelation of the will of God. It is impossible for situations to subdue you when you walk in understanding of what God is saying to you. Let the finished work of Jesus determine what you pray.
When God is your source, you don't look back. You keep looking forward. You keep trusting. God, I trust you.
Here's Apostle Faithman Ogboada.
Welcome to Project 300, and today we will continue section 1 and 2. And today I'd like to conclude some of the things I taught last week. And there are 3 things I needed to share before we get into lesson 2. The first thing I want us to look at is leadership that is centered on goals. Leadership that is centered on goals. A leader becomes effective when there is goal. Goals helps us to release our potential. One of the ways we can release our potentials as leaders is when there is a goal. A goal suggests that you have a focus. When you have a goal, it means you have a focus. When you have a goal, you're working on target. So a leader must have goals. What do you want to achieve? How do you want to go about it? How do you want to achieve it? So leadership that is centered on goal becomes a high-performing leadership. A leadership that is centered on goal becomes a high-performing leadership. We can say that a leader is a high performer because there are goals, and these goals takes that leadership to accomplishment. We can't talk about accomplishment without talking about goals. So goals are vital when it comes to reevaluating your leadership. What have I done? What have I accomplished? What are the basic goals that becomes the focus of my organization, or as me as a person? What are the basic goals? So God wants me to be a leader with goals, and there are God-inspired goals. There is a spirit-led goals, that the Spirit of God is the one putting these goals in your heart, and there is a self-created goals. There are goals that you created by yourself. There are goals that you created by yourself. Okay, I want to read this book this week. I want to be able to conclude this book this week, or I want to conclude this job this week. I want to be able to. Goals gives us focus. Goals gives us focus. When you have a goal, you have a focus of what you want to achieve or what you want to experience. A leadership without goal is leadership without direction. Leadership without goals are leadership without direction. So goals subjects direction. It brings direction. This is where I'm putting my time. This is where I'm putting my energy. So a leadership that is centered on goal becomes productive, becomes effective, and becomes the kind of leadership that people want to identify with. What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to do? How are we going to do it? So goals helps you to deploy your potential. You see, one of the ways you can keep the life of your vision going is when there is a goal. You need to have a financial goal. You need to have a mental goal. We need to have spiritual goals. Why do we need those goals? Because it helps us to go into work. You cannot truly be a hardworking person without a goal. Goal helps you to know that, okay, I need to do this. I don't have to do this. This is my goal for this season. Maybe your goal may be to promote your service, or to promote your product, or to be able to increase your clients or your customers, or to have more people come into your organization. How do we achieve this goal? who is involved in helping us to achieve these goals. So leadership that is centered on goals become effective, become productive, and become an inspiring leadership. So the next thing I want to look at is learn better ways to serve. Learn better ways to serve. Now, if you, okay, let me say this before I get into this, learn better ways to serve. When it comes to leadership, when it comes to goals, there are reachable goals. There are reasonable goals. There are certain goals that people set, but it's not a reasonable goal. It's not a goal they can achieve. They make it look so big and they are not able to achieve those goals. I believe that you should be able to set a goal. Let's take, for instance, I want to reach out to 5 persons in the month of May. Let's take that as an illustration. I want to reach out to 5 persons in the month of May concerning my business. That is a reasonable goal. That is a goal you can be able to achieve. But when you set a goal like I want to reach out to 200 people in 1 month, now it's also a great goal. But the question is, do you have the driving capacity for that goal? Because sometimes when people's goals are not achieved, they feel disappointed, they feel frustrated. So wise leaders will always set reachable goals, reasonable goals, goals they can handle. Okay, I can handle 5 persons, I can handle 2 persons, I can handle 3 persons. That way, every accomplishment becomes an inspiration for continuity. I said every accomplishment becomes an inspiration for continuity. One of the ways we're being inspired as leaders is when we're able to accomplish something. It doesn't matter how small it may be, it doesn't matter how big it may look, but a sense of accomplishment is there. When you accomplish something, you feel inspired. You feel encouraged, you're being stretched to go forward. Now, if you watch the life of David, when David killed the lion and killed the bear, you can see that David has broken forth from that level of life. So when David saw Goliath that was a giant, it was not a challenge for David. It wasn't a challenge for David because he has seen something that looks like this before. So when it comes to leadership, your ability to set reachable goals, realistic goals, goals that are achievable. Because if your goals are not achievable, you become distracted. You feel frustrated. Oh my God, I was trying to do this month. I was trying to do this year, but it never happened. Disappointment can lead to distraction. Disappointment can lead to distraction. When people are disappointed, especially when they are trying to pursue a goal, but that goal did not come to pass and they feel frustrated. So it is important that you set realistic goals. You set achievable goal. There are short-term goals. There are short-term goals and there are long-term goals. There is a goal we may have, we're pursuing this vision in the next 10 years. We want to reach 1 million people in the next 10 years. It's a long-time goal, but do we have the short-term goals that will help us reach 1 million people in the next 10 years? Okay, if we're to reach 1 million people in the next 10 years, so what is going to be our strategy for a short-term goal? So let's take, for instance, every year we're going to reach out to 100,000 people. In 1 month, how can we divide 100,000 people? So to divide 100,000 people in 1 month, how many are we in the team that will be able to achieve this goal? So the goal should be broken to a path that is achievable, is reachable, is considered, is people could easily say, yes, this can be worked out. Because sometimes people have outrageous goals and the frustration sets in, and before they realize they are losing their focus because the goal was bigger than their faith capacity. So we also set goals based on our faith level. I want to say that again. We also set goals based on our faith level, based on what we can handle, based on what we can manage, what we can handle. If I can't handle it, it may bring a stress and a confusion to me. So I needed to make that point clear because I want us to understand that you need to set goal according to your capacity. You need to set goal according to your vision. I said you need to set goals according to your capacity. You need to set goals according to your vision, and you need to set goal according to your human resources. Except the Spirit of God influences you and said, okay, maybe your goal was 10% before, and the Holy Spirit said to you, I want you to go out for 40 persons. Now you got a rhema word for that. That is different from what you wanted to do. Now the Spirit of God is giving you a backing to consider going for 40 persons. So that you got a rhema for that. You got a word from God for that. So it's different from when you decide to do that. So a leadership that is centered on goals becomes effective, becomes productive, and becomes a fruitful leadership. So let's make progress. This teaching continued from what we did last week, passion for effective leadership. This is like a continuation of it. When we get to lesson 2, I will let you know. We're still trying to finish what we started up last week here. So last week, remember, we talked about passion for effective leadership. We talk about leading yourself. We talk about perspective of productive leaders. That's what we did last week. So I told you last week that we're going to continue from where I left up before we go to the class 2 or to this class 2. So today we're looking at the leadership that is centered on goals. So goals are strategic. Goals are strategic. Goals are important. Goals are relevant. Goals help you to be able to do what you expected to do. The next thing I want us to look at in this class is learn better ways to serve. You know, one of the ways you become an effective leader is your ability to serve. A great leader keeps the communication line open. I'm able to do this. I'm not able to do this. Look at what happened here. Look at what happened there. Communication is important if people are going to respond to our leadership. Better ways to serve people. I've not been able to achieve this result. This is the state of things. You know why? Because as you say that, everyone have a better understanding of what is going on. So better ways to serve people. Improve on how you serve. You see, when you improve on how you serve, you have the tendency to win the trust of people. I said, when you improve on how you serve, you have the tendency to gain the trust of people. There are certain service that people give, but you can know that, man, this is not the right service I want to receive. So improve on what you do. Better ways to serve. Better ways to relate information, better ways to know what is going on, better ways to meet the needs of people. So you learn better ways to serve. You cannot remain at the same level and demand a different result. I said you can't remain at the same level and demand a different result. If you want a different result, then you have to learn better ways to serve. Let's take, for instance, you're in business or you do product and service, and sometimes you call your past customers or clients and say, I hope that product is still serving you. Or, well, I hope you're able to enjoy our service. When next time you need such a service, will be available to serve you. A lot of people deal with people for the first time, but they don't keep contact with the people. One of the keys to growing in business is the ability to maintain relationship. I say one of the keys to growing in business is the ability to maintain relationship. Maintaining relationship is important because most places you want to get to in life, you'll get there by relationship. So if when you serve people well and have a good rapport with them, a good relationship with them, it helps to give life to your organization. It helps to give life to your business. Don't just make money the priority, make relationship the priority, and the money will follow. I want to say that again. I said, don't just make money the priority, make relationship the priority, and money will follow. People want to give money in places where they are honored, where they are celebrated, where they are considered, and where they are preferred, where they are honored. So it's important when you're building a business, you're looking for better ways to serve people. I hope the last service we gave to you is doing well. I hope the last time we came to your company and did this and did that, I hope you enjoy the product or you enjoy the service. Be able to get back to people that are with you in business or whatever you're doing, try to get a feedback. The reason for feedback is not to condemn us, especially when you hear the feedback from wise people. Feedback actually should be like a foundation for innovation, for creativity, and also to readjust the things we are doing. So you need feedback to improve on things. You need feedback to adjust certain things that you may have done in error. And then you said, well, because they said this, they said that, let's see how we can bring all this information together to improve on what we are doing. So a wise leader is not scared of feedback. A wise leader needs feedback to improve the quality of service, to improve the quality of product. So it's important that you are able to ask questions. What's going on here? What's happening here? What's going on here? You're able to be sensitive to what is happening. Learn better ways to serve. Always promote people's need above the product. Always promote people's need above your product. When people have a need for water, so I don't just bring a dirty water and give to them and say, well, just give me the money. No, so we're thinking about how to give them better water to drink. When I have the mentality of better water, to give them better water to drink, what happened is they begin to see that this organization or this company have my interest. So it's important that we learn better ways to serve. Okay, the next thing I want to share as we round up this section is let people know the state of things. Let people know the state of things. Letting people know the state of things helps you to stay effective in leadership. When you let people know the state of things, this is what is going on, this is what is happening, this is where we are, and this is where we are going to. It's so important that we let people know, especially people who maybe like this product we are selling, we are no longer offering this product, or we're no longer offering this service, or we're no longer making this product available for people. So we let people know. So leadership is all about being able to communicate what the solutions are, what the needs are, what the challenges are. As a leader, you should be able to communicate the solutions. You should be able to communicate the needs. You should be able to communicate the challenges. Let people know where things are. The state of things is important, especially for maybe someone who you have to deliver goods or product or service. And sometimes the customer may be calling you, or the client may be calling you. Choose to pick their call. Some people, I used to have a particular guy that worked for me many years ago. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh Jesus, have mercy. This fellow will never pick his call. He will never pick his call. You're calling him. When he picks the call, he will not start giving you reasons why he didn't pick the call. So if when you have emergencies, such people, you can't depend on them. When you have emergency, your ability to return messages at the appropriate time is important for you as a leader. Being able to keep the communication line open. You shouldn't be a kind of leader that people are calling you, and especially people that you're having businesses with, or you have something to deliver. Let them get to know that I am on my way. 45 minutes from now, I'll be with you. 2 hours from now, I'll be with you. It's called professional excellence. When people know they can count on you, they can rely on you, it will improve the quality of what you do. Not that the person is calling you and you're seeing the phone ringing, but the phone rang, but you didn't pick the call because he wanted to hear from you. He wanted to know what is the state of things. He wanted to hear from you. Say, well, I don't have time to speak with you right now. No, even if you don't have time to speak with a person, there is a gentle text you could send. Well, I'm in a meeting, or I have something I'm doing. Maybe I can't pick the call, but in the next 2 hours, I'll be there. In the next 3 hours, I'll be there. Your ability to communicate is going to be one of your advantage as a leader. If you can communicate, you're not qualified to lead. If you can communicate, you're not qualified to lead. So great leaders communicate. They communicate instruction. They communicate information. They communicate progress reports. They communicate what is going on. The reason for communication is to sustain the hope of people. The reason for communication is to sustain the hope of people. So when people know the state of things, they are more quick to relate with you. They are more quick to connect with you. Thank you so much. I'm done with class 1. I'm done. What I started last week, I'm done today. Okay, I'm done. So I want to give you like 1 minute to just relax yourself. Can we go for a break for 1 minute or for 2 minutes? Okay, Let's take a break for 2 minutes. Stretch your body if you want to. Take water if you want to. You want to use your restroom? I just give you 2 minutes. So you just enjoy yourself for 2 minutes. Am I correct, Denzel? The 2 minutes is here. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Chuck. Okay, good morning. Okay, while we continue, we're going to look at class 2 right now. We'll talk about last week, so we're going to look at priorities and principles. Priorities and principles. If you're going to be an effective leader, you need to know your priorities. What are the priorities? Priorities are important. How things should be, what should come first, what should come later, what should we be doing in the next 2 years, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 4 weeks. What is important to us right now as an organization, as a people, as a family? So it is important that you understand your priority. If you don't understand your priorities as a leader, you'll be stressed out. A lot of people are stressed out because they want to do so many things at the same time. Understanding how priorities work will also determine how you use your energy. If I'm going to use my energy right, I need to know what is important. When we talk about priority, we're talking about what is most important. What is important to us right now? What is in the list of our agenda? What is the first thing? What is important right now? So as a business leader or as a spiritual leader, there is a need to understand your priority. What are your priority for this season of your life? What is your priority for maybe the next season of your life? Let's say this 6 months or 1 year. What are the key priorities of your life? So priorities begins when we have an understanding of our vision. When you have an understanding of what your vision is, it helps you to create priority. These are the most important things we should be doing right now as to help us get to our destination. If you don't function based on priority, you'll be stressed out and you won't be able to achieve results that you can relate to it. So priority should be based on the vision. The vision is the destination. The vision is the destination. Priority is how you get to your destination. The vision is the destination. Priority is how you get to that destination. So what is your priority? There are certain people right now, what they may call a priority is not really a priority for them because it has no relationship with their future. It has no relationship with their dream. It has no relationship with what God will call or have called them to do or what God will have them do. They have no clue of how that priority could impact their life. So I want us to look at this today. There are personal priorities and there are organizational priorities. There are personal priorities. This is your personal life. What is your priority for this season of your personal life? What is the priority of your organization? You need to be able to know there is a difference between you and the company you run. There's a difference between you and the organization you run. Your organization has a need. And you also as a person, you may have a need of what you want to do with your life, what you want to do with your time, what you want to do with your resources. So you need to understand the difference between your personal need and what's the need of your organization. Now, when it comes to principles, principles govern priority. Principles are important when it comes to priority. Principles, the way things should be. Principles are laws that won't change. Principles, these are the principles that govern things in this organization. These are the principles that I stand on. These are the principles that this organization will always do. Some people may say, okay, these are the policy that govern this organization. But while I use the word principles, I'm actually looking at for what does not change. This is what we're doing. These are the governing laws of this business. These are the governing laws of this organization. So priority and principles work together. I want to say that again. I say priorities and principles work together. I say when you have priorities, principles will help to give direction to priority. With principles, you are able to defend your priorities. But if you don't have principles, anything can encroach into your priority and distract you from carrying out your priority. Because you don't have principles. Principles is, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm going to do this now. This is what I stand for. This is what I am doing right now. And you stand firm there. So, but if you have priorities and you don't have principles, you can have progress. If you have priority and you don't have principles, you can have progress. This is why a lot of people have great priorities, but no principles to govern those priorities. There is no principle. So because when you have a principle, let's take, for instance, I got this comb here. I used to keep this comb here in my studio. I used to comb my head whenever I come here. So I got this comb here. Now, this comb is to achieve the target of helping me keep my hairs nice. So now this water have a need. This water have a need for this comb. And I always use this comb by 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It may be 5 a.m. Central Time for you, or it may be 11:30 a.m. Nigerian time for me. So this bottle of water have a need, and it wants to use this comb at the same time. Now, you know what will happen? Principle tells me that no, it can use it that time. Principle tells me, no, you can use this comb at this time. Why? Because at this time, Apostle Faithman will be making use of this comb. Principle actually help to give direction to vision. So when you have a vision or something you want to achieve and there are no principles, you won't be able to get to your destination. Principles are like the lines we look at for as leaders. They are like the line, they are the boundary lines we look at for. These are the principles. No, I can't do this. Now, if you watch the life of Joseph carefully, Joseph was rising to prominence in Egypt. He was becoming more successful. Then the wife of Potiphar started asking for sexual relationship. Principle said no. Principle. The reason why Joseph said no to the woman was that the principles that was governing his life had no provision for that lifestyle. So principles will govern vision and give direction to vision and sustain the hope of vision. Principles will govern vision and give direction to vision and sustain the hope of vision. So if you have a vision and you don't have principles, you will have accomplishment. Let's look at Samson. Samson was a person in the scripture who violated principles. If Samson did not violate principle, Samson have nothing to do with Delilah. But you see, because principles were not in place, Samson lost so much. He lost his eyes. The same temptation that Joseph had was almost the same temptation that Samson had. But you know what happened? By principle, Joseph secured his eyes. Because of lack of principle, Samson lost his sight. So principles are actually the very foundation in which you build things. You build things on principles. Anything that is going to last must be governed by principles. So when you have priority of what you want to do, priority of what you want to achieve, priority of where you're going to, so you priority of what to do, you need to have your principles close. As when things trying to interfere with the priority, then principle will say, no, I'm not doing this. We can't do this. We don't have to do this. This is not in line with our principle. We can't handle this. We don't have place for this now. Because by principle, you are able to secure priority, and then your energy can be focused on the right direction. What has happened to so many CEOs of organization is they have priority of what they want to do, but no principles to monitor the process of the priority. So those priorities are being distracted, so we have diversion. This is not part of my focus right now. It just came. This is not part of my focus right now. It just showed up. This is not part of my focus right now. It just showed up. So what is happening? I'm having so many distractions. But when you have principle, this is my focus. Don't want to do that. You know what is your focus, because principle helps you to manage your mental energy. One of the ways we manage our mental energy is when we understand how principles work. When we understand how principles work, there are things I can't do, not because I don't like to do it, not because it's not good, but because it doesn't line up with my ministry principle. It doesn't line up with what I do. There are things we can do, but I don't do them. Not because the people that do those things are wrong, but it doesn't line up with my principles. It doesn't line up with my principles. So principles are important. So your priorities must be understood. Your priorities must be understood by you and those around you. I said your priorities must be understood by you and those around you, because understanding priority will determine the flow of energy towards the priority. Understanding the priority will determine the flow of the energy towards the priority. So you need to know your priority. Then you also need to learn how to manage your priority. How to manage your priority. To manage your priority, you need some sense of understanding. For you to manage your priority, you need some sense of understanding to manage your priority. Because if you're not careful, you can't get to your destination. There are so many distractions: emotional distraction, financial distraction, career distraction. There are all kinds of distraction that comes our way. So I have to learn how to manage my priority. One of the persons in the scripture that knows how to manage his priority was Jesus. He was a master at that. He knows how to manage his priority. You can't get in his way. I'm telling you, he has a destination. He's going to his destination. He's going to his destination. He knows what he was going to do for the day. He knows where he was going for the day. So managing your priority is important if you're going to execute your priority. Managing your priority is important. If you are going to execute your priority, you need to learn to manage it. You need to learn to manage it. In this season, you should have priorities that you can manage. In this season, you should have priorities that you should do that you can manage. There are certain things I don't want to do because I can't handle it. There are certain things I don't want to do because I cannot handle it. I don't have the capacity to handle it, so I don't want to get myself involved into it. I just want to be able to chew what I can. So it's important that you understand as a business leader, as a leader, that if you can't manage your priority, it is an indication that you cannot achieve that priority. If you can manage it, you can achieve it. You can only achieve what you can manage. I said what? You can only achieve what you can manage. Whatever you can manage, you can achieve. You can only achieve what you can manage. Whatever you cannot manage, you cannot achieve it. You want to build a business that is going to be a multi-billion-dollar corporation. What is your priority when it comes to financial savings? What's your priority? How much you save, like in 1 month? How much you plan ahead of yourself? There has to be a priority. Okay, I'm going to keep every 1 month, I'm going to save like maybe $200. I'm going to save like $500, whatever the cash may be. And I will save this. I won't touch this. I have a priority towards this. That is something I want to achieve. So whatever you are doing without priority, you won't get to your destination. So it's important you understand that priorities are important. But what principles will do for your priority is that principles strengthen you in the pursuit of the priority. Principles strengthens you in the pursuit of the priority. Principles can be likened to informations. They are informations of how you're to operate the system of your life. I want to say that again. I say principles are informations, how you're going to operate the system of your life. Principles are information on how you're going to operate the system of your life. Principles are information how you're going to operate the system of your life. You got to be wise. Principles are for wise people. Foolish people don't talk about principles. Foolish people do whatever they want to do. They don't care. You know why? That is why they go broke. That is why they get frustrated. That's why they lose their mind, because they were not wise and diligent when it comes to priority. The priority. Then you have the principles. It's a very important subject for me today. Thank you. So when leadership is based on principle, it becomes a leadership that understands order. When leadership is based on principle, it becomes a leadership that understands order, that things should be done decently and in order. Things should be done decently. Things should be done. Things, priority, things you want to accomplish. Priority, order, principles. Order, principles. Things should be done decently. When you say that things should be done decently, it's talking about priorities. Things should be done decently. Priorities. We need to know what should come first, what should follow next, how things should be done. Then things should be done decently and in order. Order. We need to have some order. We can't just live a life being zigzag, do whatever you want to do. No, there has to be some sense of order. That you're in an organization doesn't mean you have to know everything about that organization. You may know some things that has to do with part of the organization. Like, let's take, for instance, when you go to some companies, the GM, the director, the head of departments, there are certain things they know about that company that other executive staffs may not know. The reason for that is that they trust, before they can communicate some things to you, they have to trust you. Can we trust this person with this information? There are certain information people want to know, but the question sometimes people ask is that, can they be trusted with the information? Can they be able to handle the information? You can't trust everybody in the organization with the same level of information you share at your executive level. You can't do that. Sorry. You can't do that. So if you watch Jesus, he has the three disciples he go up with. He has John, Peter, and John. Peter and James, three disciples. These three apostles, he went up with them. Why didn't Jesus go up with every of his disciples? Why didn't he go up with every of the apostles? He couldn't do that, because when it comes to leadership, you still have people who are at the top of the organization. It's not because they are more smart that they are at the top of the organization. Sometimes it can be their level of loyalty. They are so loyal to the organization that the organization will consider sharing some vital information. And they tell them this information cannot go out of this place. I was listening to a great preacher in the US, and he said something. They have, many of you will know him. And he said his father has been one of Kenneth E. Hagin, had been one of the great men of God that lived. So one time he was sharing something, the son was sharing something, the Hagin Jr. was sharing something. He said that when they have some leadership meeting, and maybe there's things they're talking about, now he would tell the people there, please don't say this thing even to your wife, because maybe it may be a project or something they wants to do, and before you realize, they may go say it to their wife or to someone, and then the thing will leak out. Before they will start doing it, someone else is already doing it. You know why? They have to save the information. And then he said something that got my attention. He said, there are meetings when they are done. They said, okay, we're done with this set of people. Now, these people that are here, I want to talk with you about something. I want to say something to you. Now, he's defining leadership at different level. You can't trust everybody with the same information. That's not leadership. You cannot trust everybody with the same level of information. There are level of information you don't give to people until you are able to prove them. You're able to prove them. You're able to prove their loyalty. You're able to prove their integrity. You're able to prove their diligence. You're able to prove their stewardship. You can't just pour out the information to them because they may not have your back. There may be a surprise to you and you say, oh my God, she betrayed me. Oh, he betrayed me. He did it. Because you thought you can share everything with everybody. You can't share everything with everybody. No, this is leadership. There are things you keep away from some people because they may not be able to manage information. You may share it to them, and the next time someone else have heard it and say, oh, I thought you could have told me this. This person said this to me. Wow. You thought it was going to be a confidential information, but it's no longer a confidential information. So principle tells us to say, hey, people got to prove themselves before we can trust them at a particular level of leadership. They have to prove themselves as we can trust them at a particular level of leadership, because if they don't prove themselves, we can't be able to trust them. So a great leader is someone who is able to know who to trust and how to network with other people and how to make things happen. So if you truly want to be an effective leader, you must be a leader that understands priority and principles. And priority and principles are strategic in building effective leadership. I want to say that again. I said priority and principles are effective in building. Priority and principles are effective when it comes to building a great leadership organization, a great leadership place where people can receive instruction and direction. So your priority in this season should be defined based on your vision. Based on your vision. It's very important that we'll define priority based on vision, and also the priority should be connected to our ability. Can we handle this? Can we handle this? Can we be able to handle this? Can we be able to take care of this? Do I have the capacity for this? That's what you should be asking for. What you're about to do right now, do you have the capacity for it? As a great leader, do you have the capacity to manage this priority? Do you have the capacity to be able to pursue it, to be able to do it? Is it within your reach? Is it within your capacity? Is it within your strength? Is it within your handle this? When priority is understood, leadership is strengthened. I want to say that again. I said when priority is understood, leadership is strengthened. One of the ways you strengthen your leadership is when you understand your priority. So the next thing I want us to look at is reevaluate your priority. To know when you're making progress and when you're not making progress. You have to reevaluate your priority, not making progress. Maybe I said this, this is my priority for the month of June or for the month of February, and I notice I'm not able to handle those priorities that I call my key priorities. I'm trying to reach out to them, but I'm not able. Then I may be able to lower it, or I may be able to say to myself, well, I can't do this right now. I think I don't have the manpower. I don't have the resources. I don't have what it takes to do this right now. So I have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to, in this priority, I'm going to recreate this priority and have a better list of what to do as I'll be able to achieve my targets. A wise leader will always reevaluate his priority. I said the wise leader will always reevaluate his priority. The reason for this is that when priorities are being reevaluated, we know what to consider and what not to consider. We know what to consider and what not to consider. So it's important managing your priority. Now, I have what I call the quadrants of priority. Quadrants of priority. Now, let's take, for instance, something can be important, but it's not urgent. Something can be important, but it's not urgent. It's important, but it's not urgent. And something can be urgent, but it's not important. Something can be urgent, but it's not important. It is urgent, but it's not important. That simply means we can do it later, but it's important, but it's not urgent. And something can be important, but it's not urgent. So we should be able to know these quadrants. And then we have something can be important and at the same time it's urgent. It's important, it's urgent. That becomes a priority. Urgent, important. It exists in that quadrant. In that quadrant, it said it's important and at the same time it's urgent. So I'm going to give more time to what is important and urgent than what is important but not urgent. And sometimes people try to do what is important but it's not urgent. or something that is urgent but it's not important. You get a quadrant? So something can be important and at the same time it is urgent. So you should look at for things like that as a leader. Those are the things that help you become more productive, more effective, and more efficient in what you're doing. When it is important and when it is urgent, it becomes a target. I want to say that again. When it's important and when it is urgent, it becomes a target. It is important, it is urgent, that makes it a target. So I need to achieve that. It's important, it is urgent, that makes it my target. That makes it my focus. So as we look at that quadrant, I believe that we are going to have more success as we learn to respond to these things, knowing the priorities, knowing the principles. You are the one to decide the principles. You are the one to decide the priorities. What I've just shared with you right now, as a leader, you have to decide what are your priorities. As a leader, you have to decide what are the principles. What are the principles that help you? What are the principles that govern your thinking, your communication, your expectation about a person, about an organization, about things? What are the priorities? What are the principles? You determine what your principles are. You determine what your priorities are. People will watch out for your principles. And when people understood that you don't have real principles that they could rely on or they could work with, they will know this man is not a real genuine man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know where he's going to. So principles are important because they are the flag that people see about your organization and then they connect with you. Priorities are key. So today, as we begin to round up, ensure that you talk to yourself more about your priorities. Talk to yourself more about your priorities. Talk to yourself more. Look at yourself and say to yourself, this is what I'm going to do this week. I'm doing this. You must have your do list. Your do list has to be there. Your do list is important. Your do list is important. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is my do list. This is what I'm doing. By 2 p.m., I'm doing this. By 5 p.m., I'm doing this. I need to read this book by 8 p.m. for 2 hours or for 1 hour. Your do list is important if you're going to keep up with your priorities. Some people don't have priorities. They just live their life that way. Some people don't have principles. They just live that way. But you can't be an effective leader without the two. For you to be an effective leader, there has to be priority. There has to be principles. Principles are the governing laws that decide how things are done. I want to say that again. I said principles are the governing laws that decide how things are done. Principles are the governing laws that decide how things are done, how things are being achieved, how things are being received. So principles are the governing laws of how things are done. I believe that in this season, you're going to do something amazing. You're going to do something beautiful. You're going to do something that is life-changing, because right now you'll begin to determine what your priorities are. What are we going to achieve this week? What am I achieving next month? What am I going to achieve in 2 weeks? Priority. So focus on your priority and be careful of distraction, because distraction can sabotage priority. That is why you need principles to be able to give you focus and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'll be doing. And this is how I want to keep doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of Project 300 for today. And we'll be back again next week, Saturday. We'll be back again next week, Saturday. It's going to be an interesting time, a beautiful time. I believe that the principles we have shared in this class today, you'll be able to go back home and think about, what are my priorities for this month? What are my priorities for this year? What are my priorities for this week? What is the key things? Because I need to achieve something. I need to do something. What are the governing policies, the governing principle. What are the things that govern my life, my organization, me as a person? What are the things I consider that can govern things around me? So as a wise leader, you're thinking about governing principles, things that could govern your thinking, things that could make you look at this and say, this is what I should, and I should be able to begin to think about that if I'm going to be an effective leader. Great leaders are not people who don't make mistakes. They are people that mistakes don't stop them. I want to say that again. I say great leaders are not people who don't make mistakes, but they are people that mistakes don't stop them. They don't get distracted by mistake. They make those mistakes, they change, they repent, they receive forgiveness, they move on. That is a great leader. A leader who has failed will accept his mistakes, will stay with his mistake, and will refuse to change because of the situation he has experienced. I believe that God loves you. I want to encourage you today to partner with Project 300. Whatever you give will be helping us to increase the broadcast and reach out to more people. So I want to encourage you today to just be a blessing to Project 300 and give your best gift this season and said, Apostle, I'm supporting you to continue. The class is for free. We're not charging people any money to share all of these principles with them. It's for free. So I want to encourage you to be able to support it and encourage your ongoing broadcast as we can continue to reach more people. You can do this by going to finishworktv.com and /giving and give as the Spirit of God will lead you. Thank you for being part of this broadcast until I come back your way next week, Saturday, as we continue Project 300 Class 3. You will never remain the same. Thank you and have a great Saturday.